Yo, everybody, happy Friday. Or wherever it is, whatever time, whatever. It's about 5 a.m. here in the shop, and just want to start out this video by saying thank you to everybody that has liked and subscribed and shared this stuff. All good comments. One guy was a jerk, but otherwise, everybody's been awesome. I appreciate all of you that are watching and that are subscribing, and I'm working on some better production values, so we have actual stuff going on, and also working on some cool stuff, I think, in the background that will make the videos more pleasant to watch, because I understand that I kind of drone on, and unless you're really interested in the subject, it's maybe not the most interesting thing. So anyhow, appreciate everybody. Thank you. Let's get going with the video. So I took yesterday off from working here in the shop, cleaned up a substantial amount, but we poured some concrete in the lean-to out there and pulled out the plasma table. Hopefully get the lean-to closed in this weekend and get it ready, because I need to paint my Super Duty and have some sandblasting to do too. Want to do it out there. Building to catch it, and that's going to kind of be my dirty room. So the plasma will go back in there after everything's done. But it is pulled out so that I can make some motor mounts for the bus. I picked up this 24-foot long section of 2x4 rectangular tube. It's 1/8 inch wall to build frame rails and subframe. I came to the conclusion that I am going to use leaf springs in the front. I'd already planned leaves in the rear and thought about doing a 3-link up front, but the cost of joints and setting everything up, the lack of space is another contributing factor. My 3rd link would basically run directly into the turbo. There's no place really to squeeze in that stuff. So decided to go with leaves front and rear. Ordered up this cool gizmo from Speedway Motors. There's a tire coming today so that I can start mocking up where everything will go. Kind of irked because this center ring is not big enough to fit over the gigantic front hubs. So another job for the plasma table is I'm going to cut another center ring that will work a little better for this. Not the end of the world, and still worth it. I mean, this thing was like $100, and by the time I sat down and drew all this and made everything, I would have spent way more than $100 of my time. So no worries. So tire's going to come today, be able to mock stuff up. Going to then be able to order front springs, and then be able to build the frame, and then be able to hang the engine. So a lot of stuff going on in motion, just kind of waiting on things to arrive so that I can do each step in an order that makes sense. So that's going to be sitting here today, but I'll get back to it. And then today, finally, I'm going to run the fuel lines on Buford 79 and see if I can't get her fired up today and running. I know I've been saying that for the past like 4 days, but that's the plan. So we'll get back to it and catch up with a couple more segments. All right, well, sorry if there's some noise in the background. I already have the exhaust fans running today at 6 a.m. It's already warm out here. Trying to get some cool air in the shop to keep me from sweating too bad today. So anyhow, connected the fast feed line into the injection pump here, the VP44. Unfortunately, the way that's made with this 90 puts it right on top of here. So I'll probably need to come up with a better solution for that. Either put it straight on and run it up or something, but that needs to be done cleaner. So that line is going back to the fuel pump, and then the return line here, this guy, coming back off the injectors and return from the injection pump, goes back onto the chassis and goes into the return on the factory Ford sending unit. So that's good enough to start it. I need to get the fast wired up now to get power to it, and I also need to get into this engine harness and eliminate what we don't need. I have a schematic for it. I don't think it's going to be too much hassle. but just need to get rid of all the Dodge stuff and wire up just enough to make it a standalone, which shouldn't be too much of a hassle. So that's what I'm going to tackle now, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll hear some noise out of this thing this afternoon. Getting into the harness to make this 24 valve start. Pretty simple. I know everybody loves 12 valve because you need one wire to make them run. Well, you need 5 to make this one run. So if that's over your head, stick with the 12 valve, make your 190 horsepower, and be happy. Or buy a much cheaper 24 valve, be able to tune on the fly without changing fuel plates and crap, and hook up 5 wires, rant over. So here's what you need. This handy sheet that I have. You have 12 volt in, key on. You have 12 volt in hot at all times. You have your VP44 injection pump key on, your injection pump power relay control, and your ground on the other plug. So 5 wires. So I went ahead and chopped those 5 I needed, labeled them. If you're not familiar, these things are awesome. So this is a stupid cheap. Bought it on eBay, I think, for 30 bucks. Got my finger in the frame, sorry. Bought this thing on eBay for 30 bucks. Just your regular old label maker. It's nothing special. And then we'll come over here. Should have been more prepared, sorry. And you get these just heat shrink rolls. You get them in 1/4, 3/8, 1/2 inch to run through there for various size. And they just drop right in that printer and you make yourself your own heat shrink labels. Super convenient, super cheap way to make semi-professional looking wiring. I think I might have talked about it when the 6-liter was in here, because I used it to label about 1,000 wires in that harness. So kind of nice only having 5 wires and not as much crap. I will need, eventually, I'm not sure, the OBD2 wiring. I don't know if any of the sensors will read through OBD2 without the Dodge PCM, like the Dodge side of the computer. So the Cummins has its own computer that runs standalone, but I don't know if it'll read. If it doesn't, no big deal. We'll just get analog sensors and make that work off of a Android or a, you know, one of those things, an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi, something like that. So not the end of the world, but so there's 5 wires. I'm going to get them ready, figure out some relays, get the fast wired up still, and hopefully this thing will start here within a short period of time. So speaking of this recycled box that I pulled off the 08 Super Duty, I'm going to go on a little tangent and go on a rant. Or not necessarily a rant, but whatever. That's kind of the point of what I'm doing with this channel. The zero balance thing is building cool stuff, or what I consider cool, and not spending a lot of money. All the YouTube automotive guys are just making a call to whoever and buying a crate engine and buying whatever. And not to sound too hippy dippy, but I'm more interested in sustainability and recycling. And I don't mean like throw your milk jugs in the plastic bin, because we all know that recycling is BS. I mean actually reusing stuff so it doesn't take energy to reproduce it. Take these old junk cars, take old junk parts, put them together, and have a drivable vehicle. So, end of rant. So, the fuel pump is on and running. Dumped diesel all over, bleeding the air out, so that was a good time. And bled the line up to the pump to make sure that I've got fuel actually going in. Everything's powered up. Pretty professional wiring going on here, but it's all run off of the relay correctly, as it should be. So if I take power away from my 12, or from my key on, it does shut off. So at least have that much figured out. So now I think I just get a starter cable on it, jump the starter, and fingers crossed I might fire up. Well, so this is relatively annoying. It's getting ready to set it up to crank this thing over. Found a Ford factory battery cable here. Went to bolt it onto the starter, and starter fell apart. Broke the pin out of the bake light on the back there, which probably good it did here, not when I'm driving. Dug out this other starter I had. It's dead too. It just clicks. I don't know if I can pull this solenoid off and put on that starter, maybe. Might look at that real quick. I'm not going to go buy a starter right now, if that's for sure. So maybe I could pull this solenoid off and put on that starter and make it function. See if that'll work. But it's always freaking something. Well, this is great. Starting to recognize a trend here with these things. I actually was trying to hold the other side as rusty as this is, but it still just broke out, which, whatever. So I might try to just stick that thing back in there and silicone it real quick just so it'll crank over, and then go find a starter off a parts truck tomorrow maybe, but really want to get this thing started today. Alright, so I went out and did some scavenging, and luckily there's another 6.4 truck out there, so I robbed the starter off of that. It was a running truck, but hey, decisions are made. So that's all done. Let's see if this thing will start. So I've got power, kind of jank there. Let me see if I can get that a little better. All right, power, fast is running. See if we can jump this. Already with one hand. All right, you're back. All right, so jumper wires, fast is running. Let's see if this thing will start. Ooh, that was close. That is freaking awesome. All right, well, I think I'm going to call it good at that for today. Mission accomplished. This thing is started up and running. And next project will be tidy up all this wiring, start to hang the front clip, tidy up all this wiring, obviously. Start hanging the front clip so I can actually mount everything and wire it right, get it wired in the ignition switch so it'll start from inside, and figure out how to boost lines so the power steering will work, and then this thing will be moving out the door on its own, which would be super nice. So appreciate everybody watching, and tomorrow we'll be back on some split bus content. Got some stuff coming today to make some moves on it. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow, I hope.